What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. Ruthie Polinsky and 𝗂𝗏𝗏 here with you today. 𝗂𝗏𝗏, it is Thursday. We are getting ready for the Lions. We are on to Detroit, as they say. But since you and I last spoke on the Charter Podcast, the Bears lost to the Minnesota Vikings, entering the game entering the fourth quarter with the lead. Sure enough, an epic collapse. The Vikings get the win in Chicago on Monday Night Football to start off the 2025 NFL season for the Chicago Bears. I want to focus mostly today, Clay, on Detroit, but I do think it's important to sort of diagnose the biggest issues you saw from the Bears game on Monday night and how that can get fixed, hopefully, ahead of Sunday afternoon in Detroit.
They got to finish, right? I mean, let's start with defensively. I mean, they played a knockdown, drag-out fight for 3 quarters. They held this team in check, and they just got to put that into 4 quarters. Minnesota had 5 first downs in the first 3 quarters, Ruthie. They had 9 in the fourth. So if you can just keep that going, I know the offense, obviously sputtering is the bigger story, but if the defense could just keep doing what they're doing instead of giving up 21 in the fourth, you win that game. And I think while Caleb and Ben try to figure out their relationship and how Ben can figure out this player and how to unlock Caleb, I think defensively they might have to carry him. And then the other thing that jumps out to me is obviously execution, Ruth. You're not going to have 127 yards of penalties and 12 penalties and win many games.
Let's stay with the defense here for a second, because obviously they were missing 3 of their best players, not just on defense, I think, but really on their team. 3 of the best players in TJ Edwards, Jaylon Johnson, and Kyler Gordon. How much of that defensive collapse in the fourth quarter do you think had to do with the fact that the defense kind of was just getting tired? Like, they just didn't have the manpower when you don't have 3 of your best guys out there to make the big plays. Like, did they get tired?
Yes. The offense going 3 and out in the second half there in the fourth quarter a couple of times is very, very straining on a defense. You go over to the sidelines, you get some water, guess what? You're back on the field. If you can extend drives for 5-10 minutes, that means so much to these guys. You get their breath back, you get your legs back, you go back and you're just fully ready to go back on the field. You have some time to look at some tape. You get, I don't know if they do tape now, but you get to, back in the day, we used to get pictures. We'd look at the pictures. You get to look at what the offense is doing. What are they doing to us? When they're running the ball and Mason started running all over them, now you get an opportunity to look at the film, look at the tape, the pictures, to get some rest, get some water. That's big. That's something that I think is understated, is getting off the field, getting off your legs, and coming back. Now you're rejuvenated. You're ready for this series. You're ready to go back and hopefully get a 3 and out and get the ball back to the offense.
Good news looking ahead here is Jaylon Johnson told the media today that he plans to be out there on Sunday. He's been a full participant at practice the last 2 days. That's good news. What boost can he bring when you're going into Detroit?
It's going to be big. And obviously, I think 𝗵𝗫 Wright played well. He obviously had the pick 6 against the old team, the team that cut him from the practice squad. I mean, that's a great story. But Jaylon's one of your leaders. He's one of your leaders on defense. I know he's not a captain this year, but he was a captain last year. He's a guy that the team looks for leadership. And obviously, he's a lockdown corner. There's a reason he's one of the highest paid corners in the league. He's good. And when you got Jameson Williams on the outside, I don't think he'll be matched up on Amon-Ra St. Brown much, who is their leading receiver, but Jameson Williams was a 1,000-yard receiver, too, with 9 touchdowns. When you get Jaylon Johnson on him, that's a matchup you trust. And that allows Dennis Allen to do more of what he likes to do, because Jaylon can play man-to-man. Jaylon can lock down a part of the field instead of having to have a safety deep. Now you can send some of these blitzes, these exotic blitzes, and feel comfortable that you're leaving someone on an island like Jaylon Johnson. I don't think you felt that comfortable with 𝗵𝗫 Wright. 𝗵𝗫 Wright, great game. Thought he played well. Looking back at the tape, he did give up some stuff, but for a guy in his first start coming off of a practice squad, you got a lot out of him. But having Jaylon back is going to be big for the Bears. It'll change the way Dennis Allen can call this game, and it just gives them an opportunity to just be more exotic and multiple on defense.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the issues on offense. I think you have to start with Caleb Williams. Looked great for about, what would you say, a quarter and a half?
Yep.
2 quarters. You saw some signs of progress. You saw what makes him great. You saw him moving the sticks. And I think that's what we came into the game, Clay, saying, okay, here's the checklist of things we want to see from Caleb Williams heading into Monday Night Football. We want to see signs of progress. And that means no pre-snap penalties, no get in and out of the huddle, move the ball down the field. You don't have to do the special. Get the ball out quickly and get it in the hands of your playmakers. And unfortunately, it took a quick turn in the second half. What do you think was the biggest reason why?
Well, I think Brian Flores blitzed once in the first quarter, and the rest of the game he blitzed 13 or 14 times. He dialed up from 25% blitz in the first half to 45 in the second half, and I don't think the Bears could handle their blitz. And obviously there were some throws there that Caleb wants back and that Caleb should make. His accuracy wasn't there on some throws, and he's got to get better at that. I think he was a 29% off-target throw rate, which was the most in the NFL this week one, right? So that's something he's got to get better at. And then third down, the money down, Ruthie. You got to be better than 3 for 12 on third down. Bears going 3 for 12 on third down. Ben Johnson last year was hovering around 50%. That's 25% if I'm doing my math right. It wasn't a math major, but 3 for 12, 25%. On third down, you got to be better. You're not going to win many games with that kind of third down percentage. And I think it just comes down to being able to handle the crowd noise when we're talking about Detroit. Obviously, we talked about silent count on the Big Pro Football Show, but they're going to have to do a silent count, which is based on the head movement of the center. And I think when you look at this team that has problems with the regular snap count at home, which should never happen, 4 false starts, that's crazy. At home, you get to hear the quarterback's voice. And nobody wants to do snap count or silent count. It's a thing that you have to do out of necessity because you can't hear yourself think in these away stadiums. I played in Detroit, obviously different era. The fan base wasn't as big as it was now, but we made the playoffs. We made the playoffs in 2016.
You guys were good.
The last time the Lions made the playoffs before a couple of years ago was my team with Stafford,
Jim Caldwell,
Stafford. Yeah, we had some dogs there. But you got to be able to handle the noise. The operations got to be better.
Hold on. You always talk about all the amazing quarterbacks you played with. You never really talk about Stafford.
Oh, Stafford's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of those guys that if we have a bad week, he's bringing us in at 7 a.m. to watch film.
Cool.
And he's running. He's a guy that just leaves
such a pro.
No stone unturned. After practice, if he needs routes, I was always the guy. I was like his guinea pig. I'd go, like, I'll take some extra routes. I'd run the routes.
Yeah.
Him and Dan Orlovsky, who's obviously in the media now. Great group of quarterbacks, but he's a guy that did teach me and everybody in the team a lot about football, what to look for in certain coverages, certain plays. Get out here, make sure you get a big chip on this play because we're trying to affect the safety and get this deep shot. And just his explanation and knowledge of football was something that really helped me to, and this was late in my career, so like my 7th season, helped me to really understand the nuances of football.
Cool. Love that. Yeah. I feel like we just don't ever get Matthew Stafford stories.
Well, I know I get Tom Brady. I talk about Vic, and I talk about Drew Brees. Staff is guys actually still playing. We'll throw Staff in there. Got a lot of good Staff stories. Staff's
I love that. Let's go back to that silent cadence for a minute because I think it's important for everyone to understand that when Ben Johnson told the media, I believe it was Tuesday after the game, about, hey, how are you going to fix all the penalties, all the pre-snap issues? What's going to be the best way to turn that around quickly? And he sort of like gave us a little smile and he was like, hopefully silent count helps. And like, I don't know if he was sarcastic, but like, I think he was sarcastic.
That was tongue in cheek.
That was tongue in cheek. Like, this is not going to be easy. And if you're having issues with your voice, I can only imagine it's going to be with your, the quarterback uses his foot, right? Like, that's got to be perfect, right?
Yeah, the silent count. I came from Missouri State, right? I'm an FCS school. We go and practice, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do some silent count. I go, what's that? I didn't know what silent count was, and what you're basically doing is you're going off the head bobs of the center, and there's just like in a regular cadence, when you have a first sound, you have a second color, green 80, green, and you go on that green. You're just trying to keep these guys off balance. When you're going on 2, green 80, said hot. Okay, when you're going on the double count You're trying to get the defense to declare what they're going to do. Green 80, green 80. Said hot, 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 hot. All right, then you say reset it. Look at the defense. Look at the defense. All right. Green 80, and then you probably call an audible there if you don't like what the defense was showing you. Silent count's the same thing. You're going to do one head bob for on one, but then obviously if you're doing that, Aiden Hutchinson's going to be coming off the edge ready to kill Caleb Williams. So now you do one head bob, you do two. You go out there and you just go on ball movement. Sometimes you'll do a double count, which means like head bob, wait, don't move. Then you'll see a point. Go back into it. And that stuff's not easy. But the Bears do have a semi-veteran offensive line. I mean, Darnell Wright's this is his third year now?
Yeah.
So he's the youngest guy on that offensive line. You got Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman. You shouldn't have any issues with these three. Braxton Jones, the guy started 40 games. So they should be able to utilize this effectively because you do have a veteran group. Obviously, it all starts with Caleb. Can he get it done there? But with the offensive line, they shouldn't have issues.
Well, that was going to be my question. How much of this and how much of fixing those penalty issues falls on the shoulders of the quarterback?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, if you look at over the last few years of cadence and teams that have the most false starts, it's all rookie and young quarterbacks. It's that for a reason. When you're going on a double counter on two, you got to emphasize it in the huddle. You catch the guys, you're like, give me your eyes. Give me your eyes. We're going on two. We're going on two. Let them know that you're going on two.
That was like you when we played basketball together. We were like, Ruthie, give me the ball.
Yeah. I'm still embarrassed by that, by the way. That wasn't my best moment. I was taking it.
Great.
It was a freaking benefit game. We're just having fun going against the Chicago lead.
3-on-3.
And I'm just over here getting aggressive like I'm playing an NFL football game. Ruthie gets a rebound. Ruthie, give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Like, dude.
I mean, that's basically what DJ
right.
Moore is probably saying to Caleb Williams at this point.
Yeah, a couple of guys maybe. Let's talk about those accuracy issues, Clay, and dissect them a little bit.
Yeah.
How much of that can be fixed through, to me, Clay, and tell me if I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You obviously
You're
played
crazy.
the game. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Well, in this question, not in general. How much of all of these issues are connected? Okay? Hear me out.
Yeah.
When you're getting out of the huddle late and you're getting to the line late and you're putting a lot of stress on the offensive line, you're going to have penalties, okay? Let's say you do get the snap off, no penalties. You're still behind schedule. Everything feels like it's off. So Caleb's hips and his footwork and all of that, it's all connected, right?
It is all connected.
So if you can start clean with the pre-snap operation, it feels like a lot of other things have the potential to be fixed.
So when I was young in my career, I mean, in Missouri State, I set the school record for receptions in a season, receptions in a career. I had good hands. When I first got to the NFL, my first couple of years, I started dropping balls. And was it the fact that I didn't have good hands? Like, no, I'm like, dude, I caught so many balls in my life, but I just wasn't comfortable in the offense. It was something that I just wasn't sure of myself. You're still figuring things out. And as I progressed through my NFL career, later in my career, I never dropped. Like, people in Philly are probably like, Clay Stonehands Harbor. People in Jacksonville are probably like, yeah, this guy never dropped anything. And it was like, am I the same player? It's like I was so much more comfortable at that point in my career where you're not focusing on everything. You can just go out there and play. And when you're Caleb, you're probably swimming. You're still picking up a new system. You got so many things thrown at you. The easy stuff starts to get hard. And the easy stuff for me used to be catching a football. To me, a pass route in college, I'd be like, that's a play off. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I was a great route runner. I'm going to catch this football. In the NFL, when you're thinking about so many things, it started to be, okay, it wasn't. It was something I had to make sure that I was emphasizing. And then later in the career, you get more confident, more comfortable, and it's something that you're confident again. And all of a sudden, you start playing better. The accuracy issues are gone for a quarterback. The catching issues are gone if you're a tight end. And that's something, especially the overthrows for Caleb. Like, he overthrows a lot of balls. And I know I brought this stat, and some people might think this stat is dumb. To me, this stat is telling. Over the last year in week 1 of this season, Caleb Williams leads all NFL quarterbacks with 52 incompletions due to an overthrow per True Media. That's 17 more incompletions due to an overthrow than the next highest quarterback, and he added 5 more of those during the game. last week. I know we saw him. He was overthrowing some of those receivers late in the game. So to me, I mean, that's just, it has to be a lack of confidence because you look back at Caleb's college tape, this guy was accurate. He was accurate on the run. He was accurate in the pocket. That's why they drafted him number 1.
Yeah.
That's why they really didn't invest in a lot of these quarterbacks because that is what he showed on his tape. So good question, Ruthie. When you start to figure stuff out and you start to get more comfortable and more confident, yes, your game does change. That's why you'll see guys. I remember guys even in a training camp, I'd be like, no way this guy's making the team. I'm like, this guy's trash. This guy's trash. He's dropping balls. Then later in camp, they start learning the offense. I'm like, okay, all right, this guy can play a little bit.
Interesting. As they get more comfortable.
As they get more comfortable, their whole game changes.
And, Clay, it's so interesting now with the nature of the preseason and how guys really don't play much, if at all. Don't you feel like that was the first time Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson had gone through an entire game together? Like, there were going to be bumps. And we haven't even gotten into, like, sort of the head coach's corrections that he wants to make, which I think we should touch on, even though it's kind of been spoken about ad nauseum this week. I think that it's going to be tough in Detroit. Road environment, loud. It's Ben Johnson. It's Ben Johnson's Super Bowl. Like, can we just state that for the record here?
Yes.
Like, this is going to be such a huge game for Ben Johnson. And I know he's telling us, I'm locked in. I'm focused on the Bears. It's not about being back in Detroit. But, like, you don't think that Ben Johnson is going to bed at night dreaming, if he's sleeping, going to bed at night dreaming like, man, for me to have my first win as a head coach in Detroit would be pretty damn cool.
I never even thought about that.
Like, I'm thinking about it. That would be real cool for us to talk about the next week and how. So listen, what I'm trying to say here is that this is a huge game for Ben Johnson. And I think that with that being said, I think he's been very self-reflective this week. He's been very open about what he wants to be better at. He's been very clear about what he wants the players to be better at.
Yeah.
He's a good coach. He's a good play caller. I think he's going to be better. So if everyone else is a little bit better, maybe they finish the game, right? And I know that the Vikings are a different opponent than the Lions, but any division game, Clay, we got to give our game picks on our show today because we don't have a show on Friday. Yeah. So any division game to me, it's going to be a thriller. Like, it's going to be a good one. In this division, even the Bears were trash last year. Like, those division games were awesome for the most part, So I think and you think about the game in Detroit last year when, the whole coaching staff got fired. Well, the head coach got fired and eventually, like, they were in that game. The reason he got fired is because they could have at least tied it there. So I think there's going to be an opportunity for the Bears here. Am I going to pick the Bears? No, don't get excited. But there's an opportunity here. And I think for Ben Johnson, for everyone to know sort of the stakes of this game. No, neither of these teams want to start 0-2. That's for damn sure. And the Lions definitely don't because they're actually a contender. Yeah. Like a real contender or believe they should be.
I don't know.
They think they should be.
Yes.
So that's sort of where I'm like, it's got to look a little bit better this week because it'll have been, to bring this full circle, I feel like I just rambled for 3 minutes. But to bring this full circle, after Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams did their first full game together.
First game.
This is game number 2.
Yeah.
We got reps.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be better.
Yeah.
It's all about the reps.
Oh, it is all about the reps. And I think you're right, Ruthie. I mean, this is an important game. And I think it's actually a winnable game. Going back and watching a little bit of all 22 of the Lions, I didn't finish the game, but I just wanted to see what was going on there. And it's not the same team. Yeah. And it's not just the play callers. It's obviously the play calling isn't the same offensively or defensively. They couldn't get pressure. Dak Prescott didn't get sacked once.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Not Dak. Who are they?
Jordan
Love didn't get sacked once. One time.
Yeah.
His jersey was clean when he went home. He didn't have to wash it. There was no grass stains. Jordan Love didn't get sacked. Aiden Hutchinson, they had 6 total pressures. I mean, that's not a Detroit Lions team. And then 44 yards rushing. 44 yards rushing between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs set a record for the most catches with the fewest amount of yards I don't know what this record goes back to, but he set a record. That's how anemic this offense was. People think it was 27-13. Doesn't sound that bad. They scored the 13, the last 7 with a minute left. It was a gimme touchdown. It was like the starters are out. So this team is not the same. Their interior offensive line has 3 new starters. And these guys are not what they used to have. There's no Frank Ragnow in there. Kevin Zeitler's gone. I think Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany, even Graham Glasgow, they're not who they thought they were. The Lions are not who we thought they were. And I think there's something that the interior of the Bears offensive line, Grady Jarrett didn't practice today, which is unfortunate with the knee. Don't know what his status is going to be, but I know Gervon Dexter is probably going to be healthy.
Yeah.
I think Big Dex has a big game for Big Dex.
Love it.
I think that Andrew Billings should do better. He didn't have a great game, but stopping that run, these guys aren't trained killers like they used to have over there.
Yeah.
Their tackles are still good. They obviously still got Penei Sewell. They obviously still have Taylor Decker. Those guys are good. It's going to be a tough game. Dio Dangbo isn't going to be picking on Justin School with a K. Doesn't spell it like you're going to school, but Justin School. I could have got some pressure off of this guy watching that film. His kick slides it looked like Karana Magaji out there. You had Tano, I'm not even going to try to say his last name, get a sack off of School.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. So it's going to be much harder for the edge rushers. I still think they can get a pressure here or there, but interior defensive line, and now I'm rambling because I don't think that was your question.
No, it's okay.
But interior defensive line, I think, can have a big game in Detroit and really stop this running game.
I'm glad you brought it up because Dennis Allen talked today about what they know about Jared Goff. And what they know about Jared Goff is that when he is in the pocket and delivering the football on time in rhythm, like he is one of the best in the league. But their goal will be to make him uncomfortable. And if they can get pressure up the middle, like that's going to be huge for them.
Oh, huge.
And I think that could make or break this game. With that being said, we know Ben Johnson wants to call a better game offensively. He wants to call more run plays, get Kyle Monangai a little bit involved. Looks like also Roschon Johnson. Don't think he'll necessarily be ready for this week, but
he was
on his way back.
Right?
Yeah, believe he was limited.
That's good.
So that's good. But Kyle Monangai is going to be more involved this week. We know that for a fact. I actually thought DeAndre Swift, I know everyone gets frustrated with Swifty. Like, I actually thought he played really well. Like,
he ran hard.
He ran hard.
I'm a big Swift fan.
And like, I always felt like, oh, this is a running back that can't really move the pile. Like, he moved the pile a few times. Like,
he lowered the shoulder.
Yes. And he looks like he's playing for something. So listen to me. If Caleb Williams can be more accurate, if Ben Johnson can establish the run and call what he wants to say a better game, if the defense can play sound, play 4 quarters like they played last week, plus Jaylon Johnson, right? Back in the mix.
Yeah.
Huge. Special teams, it's going to be better. You're also in a dome, so love that. And listen, now I'm talking myself into a Bears win. I'm kidding. No, but like, it could be fun. It could be exciting at the end.
They should have won this Vikings game, and now I know I'm going back to the Vikings. But I mean, Ruthie, when you miss a 50-yard field goal, your opponent hits a 59. Maybe you should have went for it. Ben says he's got to listen to the guys upstairs. Maybe you should have kicked a field goal instead of going for a 4th and 3. You know, the analytics sometimes don't matter as much as the flow of the game and who your team is. When you're the Lions and you're operating at such a high level clip as an offense, go for it, bro.
Yeah.
You'll get back down there, take the points.
I just kind of am going to backtrack myself here for a little bit because those 3 quarters of Bears defense made J.J. McCarthy look like it was his first NFL start. Like, Jared Goff is not going to get rattled in this game, right?
Yeah, true.
I mean, like, J.J. McCarthy obviously had an incredible comeback performance and showed why he was a first-round draft pick and won a national championship. Like, he's a winner. But I think Jared Goff has so much experience and is so composed. Like, you're not going to have to worry about rattling him necessarily.
No, he won't get rattled.
So now I'm back on Lions win.
He won't get rattled, but you saw what the Packers defense, obviously Jeff Hafley had a great defense. They bring in Micah Parsons. Mike only played 45% of the snaps, though. It wasn't like he was on the field the whole time. Right. There was a lot of pressure there. They couldn't get anything going. They averaged 3.8 yards per play on Sunday. That's the second fewest under Dan Campbell ever as a coach. And then they scored 13 points. In all of last season with the Lions, Ben Johnson never scored 13 points. So this is not the same team. We got to stop thinking of the Lions the Ben Johnson, the Frank Ragnow, the Aaron Glenn. It's a different team, and it's going to take them time.
Yeah.
Just like it's going to take the Bears time
Right.
to figure this thing out.
You're right. And you
Bears
know, it was
win.
their first. Oh my God. Here we are, just driving each other crazy. I think you're absolutely right. And I think you look at the line, they played 0 starters in any game in the preseason. So like that was essentially a preseason game for them at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Like best wishes. I think this is going to be a homecoming for the Lions fans who are hungry and know that their team is talented enough to win it all. It's just a matter of whether or not they have really what we're saying is the right coaches in place, the right play callers in place.
5 sacks
to get it done.
they gave up last week. They didn't get more than 2 in one game the whole entirety of last year.
So fascinating.
5 sacks in game 1. That's startling
Right.
if you're a Lions fan. The first game, you didn't have more than 2 throughout the whole season last year. And now you get 5? Okay.
How many sacks for the Bears?
I think the Bears can get some pressure, maybe 3 sacks this week.
From?
Dex
Let's
gets
give Big
one.
Dex one,
Dex
yeah.
gets one. I mean, maybe Montez Sweat gets on the board, and then a blitz if we can get TJ back or somebody blitz in there. I think maybe we'll get a linebacker sack with TJ Edwards.
Okay, love that. 𝗵𝗀
No, Dio, he had a lot of criticism. I know
Yeah.
he's going against a backup, but I'm not going to take back everything I said about Dio because I was one of his biggest critics
Yeah.
because in training camp and preseason,
It was great to hear his name called on the broadcast.
even
and
if
at the
he's
game.
going against Justin School, Christian Darrisaw was out, the starting Minnesota left tackle, and he
Yeah.
was going against a backup. But even if you're going against a backup, I mean, he
Right.
dominated. He was good in the run game. He got pressures. That's what you need from a guy you're paying $16 million
Yeah.
a year, who's top 20 in average per year salary for an edge rusher. So that was
that's
good.
got to do wonders for his confidence too, you know, knowing like, hey, I can get to the quarterback. It's gonna work for me in this scheme. Like, let's carry it into week 2. Clay, that was fun. I feel like we sort of recapped the Vikings loss and previewed the Lions game all in one little episode here.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell our listeners and our viewers before we
Yeah.
see them next week?
Do I? Yes, of course.
He's got notes.
I've always got something.
Got something for us.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about is the Bears' offensive line, because I know this has been a big topic. Everybody
Sure.
thinking the Bears are going to have a top 5 offensive line. They gave up 19 pressures. Caleb did. The one thing people got to realize, a lot of those plays, the Bears should have given up like 6 sacks instead of 3. Caleb did some Houdini type stuff.
Yeah.
Houdini. Like, I don't know how he got out of that situation.
Can I tell you what I told David Hall while I was sitting next to him at the game? Okay, this is very off. This is very off track, and then we'll get back to you. So when I was in Africa on my honeymoon, we were on safari.
I love
And
that. The stories and the pictures were amazing, by the way.
It was amazing. This was last summer. And we were there for the Great Migration, which is really cool when a lot of the animals cross the Masai Mara River. And it's a really incredible viewing of watching a herd of hundreds, if not thousands, of zebra or water buffalo or something cross a river all together.
Alligators.
So we were waiting for the zebra to cross. They were all standing at the edge, and one would go in, and then crocodiles would come, hippos would come, and they'd run back out. Okay. And it was 7 hours that we were standing there waiting for this moment. And it was worth every single moment, by the way. Everyone's like, why'd you wait for 7 hours? Like, it was worth it. But here's what happened. When they finally crossed, which we saw and like made us cry, okay, because it was just such an incredible scene of nature. We just felt so grateful to be there witnessing something like so powerful. When the zebras cross, you know, you're watching the crocs come in and try and get them. And they go for the little guys, whatever. But what you don't account for is how strong the zebra's legs are that are paddling across. So I'm watching the game on Monday night with David, and I go, Caleb is the zebra. Like, his legs overpower the defense. You know, these guys are grabbing at him, and he's kicking them away. Anyways.
No,
I had to tell my story.
agreed. That was
Edgar's
incredible.
laughing, so
Edgar's
that's-
our producer Edgar is laughing.
I thought you'd
at
get
the story.
more of a kick out of that.
No, that's a great story because I can visualize it. Caleb got out of some situations. Jonathan Allen had him.
Yeah,
He's the big
wrapped up.
crocodile.
He's the croc.
He's in the jaws of the croc.
He's the croc.
He kicked his legs and he got out of it. So some of these plays, obviously Caleb had a lot of negative plays with his accuracy downfield, the overthrows we already talked about, the screen pass that he dirts, a couple of these sideways passes. These got to be strikes, man. These are gimmies. But he got out of some insane situations in the pocket, like situations where I'm like, that's him and Lamar Jackson, and maybe Josh Allen, that are getting out of these sacks, and he made them positive plays. So if they can put this thing together, he's getting out of these sacks. The interior offensive line, like I said, Drew Dalman, Jonah Jackson, specifically to me, didn't have a great game. I think you paid these guys to play better, to be guys that you can consist. I said, did Coleman Shelton steal Drew Dalman's jersey? Did Nate Davis steal Jonah Jackson's jersey? I'm sorry, Ruthie. I'm just calling it how I see it. And they didn't play well, and obviously I'm not going to put this huge indictment on them after week 1, but the interior offensive line this week has to be better. You got Tyleik Williams. You don't got like Aleem McNeil's out. There's some good matchups there that they could show that they have growth and they're a better, more stout interior offensive line.
And that's connected, Clay, to like the whole operation too, right? Like a lot is being put on those guys when you're getting to the line late. Like that's true. That's tough. So I just think it's all encapsulating. Like it was hard for me to point a finger at a Jonah Jackson or a Darnell Wright. Like, these are good players. We know they're good players. Like, they're going to show that they're good players. If the whole operation cleans up, and a lot of that, I know people don't like to hear it, but a lot of that's on the quarterback, like, it's going to look better. And again, I think, Joe Thuney didn't play in the preseason. There were, a lot of guys like Braxton Jones that was getting rotated in and out. Like, there hasn't really fully been a ton of consistency there yet. So I do think having all these reps and being able to go back and watch the tape of what they did, I think is going to be super beneficial for them. And again, I think it's all connected. I think if they can clean up everything, that's going to look better too.
All right, give everybody your pick for the week.
Well, I don't have the score yet.
All right.
But I'm picking the Lions.
Okay.
I'm picking the Lions. I can't wrap my head around seeing what I saw for half of a football game. Like, when you go into Detroit, the Detroit that we know, right? We saw not the same Detroit last week, and I get that in Green Bay. But the Detroit that we know from last year, I just can't see the Bears playing the way that they played on Monday night on a short week. If they play like they played in the second half for a quarter, like let's say they get half better and they play better for a quarter, like you just have to be almost perfect in this environment. And it's hard for me to pick the Bears. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. I said before I walked in today, Clay, that it was going to be 2-score win for the Lions. You got me down to 1 score.
23-20.
Whoa.
The Bears. I think that this Lions team, without their coordinators, with this new offensive line are reeling. I think Ben Johnson coming home is going to inspire this team. He's going to put everything in his playbook that he has out there in the field to win this game. Caleb saw where he messed up. I know it's a short week, but he's going to come back fire and have a solid game. They're going to run the ball better with 2 backs, not 1 this time, but 2. You get TJ, you get Jaylon back. Bears win a nail biter. They always play the Lions tough. Let's go.
My guy.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. I'm still picking the Lions, but that's fun. I enjoy that for our content. Yeah. Clay Harbor, you're the best. I'm Ruthie Polinsky. Thanks so much for watching the Charter Podcast. This is brought to you by St. Xavier University. Enjoy the game this weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.